They thought he was just another easy target, a quiet man alone in the diner. But when the bikers push too far, they learn the hard way. Some battles are over before they begin. The wind had a bite to it that afternoon, as Darius pulled his truck into the gravel parking lot of Earl's Diner, a worn-out roadside joint just off Route 66. The kind of place where time seemed to stall and strangers weren't always welcome. The open sign buzzed dimly against the dusty grass window, flickering with just enough life to signal it was still in business. A lone gas station stood nearby, its pumps rusted and forgotten. Darius cut the engine, took a moment to glance at the diner, then grabbed his wallet and cap. Inside the diner was exactly what he expected. Checkered floors, vinyl booths splitting at the seams, and a jukebox in the corner that hadn't played a song in decades. The smell of burnt coffee and stale grease hung in the air like a bad memory. A waitress with tired eyes wiped down a counter that was already clean, muttering something to the short order cook behind her. Darius walked in, the bell above the door jangling, loud enough to turn heads. Heads that lingered. There were no smiles, no polite nods, just stares. The kind of stares you feel before you see 'em. Curious, cautious, and heavy with something unspoken. At a corner table, a group of bikers sat, draped in leather vests and dark sunglasses. Despite the dim lighting, their laughter dropped into silence the moment Darius entered. Unbothered, he adjusted his baseball cap, kept his shoulders relaxed, and headed for a booth near the window. He liked facing exits. Old habits die hard. The waitress approached him, her pen tapping nervously against her notepad. "What'll it be?" she asked, her voice flat. "Just a cheeseburger and fries," Darius replied softly. "And a coffee, black." The woman scribbled it down without looking at him, her eyes darting toward the bikers who were now watching Darius like a hawk circling its prey.
Darius didn't engage. He just sat calm and still, tracing the rim of his coffee cup as if the room around him didn't exist. But it did exist, and it was getting louder. One of the bikers, a broad man with a thick beard and knuckles tattooed in black ink, leaned back in his chair, speaking loud enough for the whole diner to hear. "Well, would you look at that? Seems we got ourselves a tourist." The others snickered low and guttural. Darius ignored him. Bearded man wasn't done. "Hey, buddy, you deaf or just rude?" The waitress returned with Darius's coffee, her hand trembling slightly as she placed it on the table. Darius offered her a faint smile and a soft, "Thank you." It wasn't her fight. She didn't need to feel guilty for walking away, and she did just that, fast. Darius took a sip of his coffee. He didn't need to look up to know all eyes were on him now. The room had taken sides without him saying a word. Outside, a truck rumbled past, gravel crunching beneath its tires. Inside, the air thickened like the calm before a storm. The silence wouldn't last much longer, and Darius knew it. The tension in the diner felt like a held breath. A moment stretched too thin. The bikers had stopped pretending, all eyes locked on Darius, waiting for a response he didn't feel the need to give. "Maybe he's just shy," bearded man jeered, his lips twisting into a smug grin. "Or maybe he's lost. Ain't much for his kind out here." That did it. A low, cruel laugh rolled through the group like a wave hitting rocks. The diner wasn't big, but in moments like this, it felt suffocating.
Darius took another slow sip of coffee, unbothered, as though he hadn't heard them. He didn't flinch, didn't twitch. If anything, he looked bored. That silence, his calm, only made them angrier. The scrape of a chair echoed loud as Beardman pushed away from the table. Boots thudded against the floor as he swaggered forward, his presence heavy. The others sat back, eager for a show. The waitress stood behind the counter, frozen, her eyes darting between Darius and the advancing biker. Beardman stopped just beside Darius's booth, close enough that his leather vest reeked of sweat and cheap cigarettes. "Hey, I'm talking to you, boy!" The word hit the air like a slap, sharp, cruel, deliberate. Darius didn't move, didn't look up. Instead, he set his coffee down gently on the saucer. "Something I can help you with?" he said finally, his voice even, measured. The question wasn't combative. If anything, it was polite. But the way he said it, soft, deliberate, stopped the biker for a beat. Beardman narrowed his eyes. "You're sitting where you don't belong. Don't you know how things work around here?" Behind him, the other bikers snickered. One of them, a wiry man with stringy hair, called out, "Show him, Travis! Teach him some manners!" Travis, a fitting name for a man so eager to prove himself. Darius exhaled quietly, a breath barely noticeable, but it was there. "I'm just here for lunch, that's all." The calm set Travis off. He wanted a reaction, something to justify what came next.
He slammed a fist on the table, rattling the salt shaker. "I don't think you heard me, friend." Darius's gaze lifted slowly, locking on to Travis. And in that instant, something shifted. It wasn't aggression in Darius's eyes. It wasn't fear either. No, what Travis saw was stillness, the kind that doesn't break, doesn't move. It unsettled him, though he didn't show it. A beat passed. "Back off, Darius," said quietly. Not a plea, not a threat, just a fact. Travis snorted, masking his discomfort with bravado. Or what? The diner went dead silent again. No one moved. Even the cook had stopped flipping burgers. Travis's patience snapped. "You gonna learn some respect today." He reached out to grab Darius by the collar, and Darius's hand moved quick as a snake. He caught Travis's wrist midair, his grip iron tight. The biker froze, startled. "Don't," Darius said softly, his voice still calm, but carrying an edge now, a warning. For a moment, Travis didn't know what to do. The other bikers were watching, goading him silently to act. He yanked his arm free with a jerk and stumbled back a step, snarling to save face. "Think you tough, huh, Travis?" Spat, flexing his hand. "We'll see about that." He turned toward the others. "Get up, boys." Chairs scraped. The air thickened. The rest of the bikers, 5 in total, rose to their feet, one by one, smirking as they cracked knuckles and rolled shoulders. Darius stayed seated, watching them. No fear, no anger, just a calm stillness that seemed impossible.
The waitress, trembling, grabbed the phone behind the counter. "Don't," she started, but Travis cut her off with a glare. "Put it down," he barked, and she shrank back, helpless. Travis turned back to Darius. "You've got 2 choices, pal. Walk out that door right now, or we take this outside." Darius didn't move, didn't blink. He set his coffee cup down, the sound almost inaudible. "I'd rather finish my lunch," he said simply. Travis grinned like he'd won something. "Fine, we'll do it here then." The bikers moved in closer, forming a half circle around the booth. They thought they had him trapped, thought the numbers mattered. They were about to find out how wrong they were. The diner had become a stage, every person an unwilling audience member. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Even the clinking of utensils had stopped. The bikers loomed, their shadows stretching across Darius like threats. Travis, eager to reclaim his pride, cracked his knuckles and smirked. "Last chance, tough guy. Walk out now before we put you down." Darius stared at him, unblinking. There was no shift in his posture, no tensing of muscles. He looked almost bored, and that made Travers furious. "You just don't get it," Travers spat, and without warning, he lunged. The moment moved in slow motion for everyone else, but for Darius it was instinct, like breathing.